You can look rich with debt, but real wealth gives you something money can't fake: freedom.
That luxury car doesn't mean you're rich. Real wealth is what you own when nobody is watching.
The difference between looking rich and being rich. Imagine two people. The first drives a brand new luxury car, lives in an expensive apartment, wears designer clothes, eats at expensive restaurants, and constantly posts pictures of vacations online. From the outside, this person looks wealthy. Now imagine the second person. They drive a 5-year-old car. Their clothes are simple. They don't post much about money. They live below their means, invest consistently, and have a growing portfolio quietly working in the background. Which person is richer? Most people would choose the first. And that's exactly where the problem begins. Because looking rich and being rich are two completely different things. One is about appearance. The other is about financial freedom. And in today's world, it's becoming easier than ever to look wealthy without actually having wealth. You can finance a luxury car. You can rent an expensive apartment. You can buy designer clothes with a credit card. You can take a vacation today and pay for it months later. You can even create the appearance of an amazing lifestyle while your bank account is struggling behind the scenes. But real wealth doesn't work that way. Real wealth is often invisible. And in this video, we're going to break down the biggest differences between people who look rich and people who are actually building wealth. Looking rich is about what you own. The first major difference is simple. People who look rich focus heavily on what they own. The car, the house, the watch, the clothes, the phone, the vacations, the restaurants, the latest technology. These things aren't automatically bad. There's nothing wrong with enjoying your money. The problem begins when your purchases are designed primarily to prove something to other people. Think about a luxury car. Imagine you buy a $90,000 vehicle. People see you driving it and immediately make assumptions. They might think, this person must be doing extremely well. But they don't know how the car was purchased. Maybe you paid cash. Maybe you financed it. Maybe you're leasing it. Maybe you put almost nothing down and now have a massive monthly payment. From the outside, all three situations can look exactly the same. But financially, they're completely different. That's why wealth cannot be accurately measured by appearances. Being rich is about what you keep. Now let's look at the other person. Instead of spending $90,000 on a luxury car, they might buy a reliable $25,000 vehicle. They could invest the difference. They could build an emergency fund. They could pay down expensive debt. They could increase their retirement contributions. Nobody on social media would notice. There would be no dramatic photos. No one would congratulate them for buying an index fund. But something important would be happening. Their net worth would be increasing. And that's the key difference. People who look rich often focus on income and consumption. People who build wealth focus on assets and ownership. A person can earn $200,000 a year and still be financially fragile. Another person can earn $90,000 and quietly become wealthy over time. The difference isn't always how much money comes in. It's how much stays. And what happens to the money that stays. The biggest wealth secret, net worth. Here's a number you should pay more attention to than your salary. Net worth. Your net worth is essentially what you own minus what you owe. Imagine someone owns a $100,000 car but still owes $90,000 on it. Their car looks impressive. But financially, they don't have $100,000 of wealth sitting in that vehicle. Now imagine someone has a $500,000 investment portfolio, but they drive an ordinary car. They may look less wealthy, but their financial position could be dramatically stronger. That's why the question shouldn't be, what can I afford to buy? A better question is, what is this purchase doing to my net worth? That's a completely different way of thinking. The lifestyle trap. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to build wealth is something called lifestyle inflation. It usually starts innocently. You get a raise. Maybe your salary increases by $10,000. You think, now I can finally upgrade my lifestyle. So you move into a nicer apartment. Then you upgrade your car. You start eating at more expensive restaurants. You travel more. You subscribe to more services. And suddenly the extra income disappears. Then you get another raise. And the same thing happens again. Your income increases. But your financial freedom doesn't. This is the lifestyle trap. The problem isn't earning more money. The problem is allowing every increase in income to become an increase in spending. Because if your lifestyle always rises with your income, you can make more money for decades and still feel broke. The richest people often don't look rich. Here's something interesting. Some genuinely wealthy people don't feel the need to constantly display their wealth. Why? Because they don't need strangers to validate their financial success. They don't need the newest car to prove they're successful. They don't need designer clothes to feel important. They don't need to post every expensive dinner. Their financial confidence comes from something deeper. They know what they own. They know how much they've invested. They know how much debt they have. They know how much income their assets generate. And they know they have options. That's real wealth. Real wealth gives you choices. Wealth is about freedom. Let's say you have two people. Person A earns $150,000 per year. But they have a large mortgage, expensive car payments, credit card debt, and a lifestyle that requires almost their entire income. Person B earns $100,000. But they have low expenses, no high-interest debt, a large investment portfolio, and 6 months of emergency savings. Who has more financial freedom? Probably person B. Because wealth isn't just about how much money you make. It's about how much control you have over your life. Imagine your boss tells you, you have to work weekends from now on. If you have no savings and huge monthly payments, you may have no choice. You have to accept it. But if you've built significant savings and investments, you have options. You might be able to leave. Take time off. Start a business. Work fewer hours. Or simply say no. That is what wealth buys. Options. The difference between assets and liabilities. Another major difference between looking rich and being rich is understanding assets. An asset has the potential to put money into your financial system or increase your net worth. Examples can include investments, businesses, and certain forms of real estate. Liabilities, on the other hand, create financial obligations. A luxury car with a large monthly payment might make you look wealthy. But it can also become a significant liability. The same thing can happen with an oversized house. You might own an impressive property, but if the mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance, and utilities consume a huge portion of your income, that house can reduce your financial flexibility. Again, the goal isn't to avoid everything enjoyable. The goal is to understand the difference between *** consumption and wealth creation. The power of delayed gratification. Here's one of the most powerful differences between people who look rich and people who become wealthy. Delayed gratification. Looking rich often means, I want it now. Being wealthy often means, I could buy it but I'm going to wait. Imagine you receive a $20,000 bonus. You could immediately buy an expensive watch, upgrade your car, or take a luxury vacation. Or you could invest most of it. The second option isn't nearly as exciting. Nobody sees it. Nobody compliments you. But that money could potentially grow for decades. And that's where compounding becomes powerful. A dollar invested today isn't just $1. Over time, it can potentially produce returns, and those returns can generate additional returns. That's why wealthy people often think differently about time. They understand that today's money can become tomorrow's freedom. Social media makes this problem worse. There's another reason this matters so much today. Social media has turned wealth into entertainment. You constantly see people showing expensive cars, watches, houses, vacations, restaurants, and shopping trips. but you rarely see their full financial picture. You don't see the credit card balance. You don't see the monthly payment. You don't see the debt. You don't see the investment account. You don't see their emergency fund. You don't see what happens after the camera turns off. You're seeing the highlight reel. And comparing your real financial life to someone else's highlight reel can be incredibly dangerous. You might start thinking, everyone is richer than me. So you spend more. You upgrade your lifestyle. You take on debt. And you start chasing an image instead of building actual wealth. So how do you become actually wealthy? The answer isn't complicated. But it does require discipline. First, spend less than you earn. Second, avoid high-interest consumer debt whenever possible. Third, build an emergency fund. Fourth, invest consistently for the long term. Fifth, increase your income while keeping your lifestyle under control. And sixth, measure your progress using net worth, not appearances. You don't need to become extremely cheap. You don't need to stop enjoying life. You don't need to drive an old car forever. You simply need to make sure your lifestyle doesn't consume everything your income produces. Because there's nothing wrong with spending money. The problem is spending money that should have been building your future. The million-dollar question. Here's a simple thought experiment. If you suddenly lost your job tomorrow, how long could your current lifestyle continue? 1 week. 1 month. 6 months. 1 year. Now imagine your investments and savings could cover your living expenses for several years. Your situation would feel completely different. That's financial strength. And that's why real wealth is often invisible. It might look like an ordinary car, a simple home, a quiet investment account, a healthy emergency fund, low debt, and a growing net worth. There may be nothing flashy about it. But underneath the surface is something incredibly valuable. Freedom. Final lesson. So the next time you see someone driving a $100,000 car, wearing an expensive watch, or posting a luxury vacation online, remember this. You don't know their financial situation. And you don't need to. Because your goal isn't to look wealthy. Your goal is to become wealthy. Looking rich is about impressing people today. Being rich is about creating options for tomorrow. Looking rich is about what people can see. Being rich is about what they can't see. Looking rich can disappear with the next paycheck. Real wealth can continue working even when you stop working. And perhaps the biggest difference of all is this. People who look rich often spend money to show they have it. People who build wealth use money to create more freedom. So don't ask yourself, what can I buy to look successful? Ask, what can I do with my money today that will make my future more financially secure? That question can change everything. Because the ultimate goal of money isn't to make strangers think you're rich, but it feels like freedom. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more practical money, investing, and wealth-building content. And remember, don't spend your future trying to impress people today.